The LSU men's basketball team opened the 2005-2006 season with a lot of faces Tiger fans did not recognize. By season's end, those faces were transformed into names and moments fans won't soon forget.
Mitchell down the floor, alley-oop.
The Tigers returned just one senior, and although Daryl Mitchell would be joined in LSU's new-look starting lineup by last year's Freshman of the Year in the SEC, Glenn Davis, freshmen would fill out half of the Tiger roster and be needed to fill key roles in a season that started with great potential and ended with even greater accomplishments. One of the best seasons in John Brady's tenure as LSU coach gave fans plenty to celebrate and plenty of reason to think more celebrations are on the way. It was a season that saw records fall, titles won, and started with back-to-back routes. The young and athletic Tigers welcomed Southern to town for a Friday night matchup at the Maravich Assembly Center and quickly thrilled the fans with a 7-0 run to start the game. At times, 5 freshmen took the floor for the Tigers, and while not perfect, they played well enough as LSU opened up a 15-point halftime lead. Freshman Tasman Mitchell led the Tigers with 19 points, and he and Glenn Davis both recorded double-doubles in the 30-point win. 3 nights later, it was another in-state matchup, this time Nicholls State, and it was redshirt freshman Tyrus Thomas who would lead the way. Thomas scored 22 and Davis recorded another double-double. The Tigers opened up a 21-5 lead just 8.5 minutes into the game. LSU shot nearly 60% of the game, opening up a 29-point halftime lead and blowing out the Colonels 104-57. With 2 easy wins under their belt, the Tigers hit the road for an anything but easy matchup at 13th-ranked West Virginia. LSU silenced the home crowd of more than 11,000 in the first half, opening up a 15-point lead. West Virginia used the 3-ball to erase the deficit, launching 45 3-point tries in the game. In the end, it was a pair of threes by Daryl Mitchell that proved to be the difference. With 23 seconds left in regulation, Mitchell tied the game. In the overtime, the senior worked off a Glenn Davis screen to hit from the corner again with time running out. The Tigers would hold on to a 71-68 win. Mitchell scored 26 and became only the 35th player in school history to score 1,000 points. 3-0, the Tigers returned home for the first of 5 games at the Maravich Center. Houston junior Oliver Lafayette started the scoring with a 3 and never really stopped, scoring 32 and keeping the Cougars in the game. LSU would build leads using the defense to trigger the offense.
By Thomas. Tyrus drives with a sack and a 2-hand throwdown. Guarded by Tasman Mitchell, drives with a sack. Pump fake, he shoots it, and is blocked by Mitchell. He takes it away. Down the floor to Daryl, uncontested. 2-hand slam dunk for the guy that's 5'10".
When Glenn Davis picked up a loose ball and took it the length of the floor, the Tigers had a 12-point halftime lead. Houston scored the first 11 points of the second half and took a 58-53 lead with a 27-10 run. Magnum Roll was there to help out on the LSU miss, but the Cougars simply didn't miss.
Dribbles around Thomas, bounces it up top to Dyer for a 3-ball. It's good.
And while Tyrus Thomas's buzzer beater was exciting to watch, it left LSU 1 point short, 84-83 in the first loss of the season. The young Tigers showed resiliency and rattled off 3 straight home wins. There were flashes of athleticism from young Tyrus Thomas.
Slams it home over Gonzalez.
And Darnell Lazar beats up the rim and beats the buzzer at halftime. Glenn Davis scored 21 points and grabbed 10 boards in a 20-point win over McNeese State.
Pass ahead to Tasman Mitchell, 2-on-1. Lobs it up on the alley-oop, and Glenn Davis throws it down.
Then New Orleans got a chance to see the Glenn Davis show up close and personal.
Glenn Davis. Davis back over on the right side, shoots 12-foot fall away, and it's good. Glenn Davis will try it from long range, and he knocks it down about a 17-footer. Takes it up top to Glenn Davis, heads for the sack, get out of my way, and he lays it in.
Davis does it all, recording another double-double. The blowout is on by the time D-Mitch hits Tyrus Thomas on the alley-oop. It's a 41-point win for the Tigers, 94-53. When the Tigers met Louisiana Lafayette, the teams combined to turn the ball over 38 times.
Up and in.
Darrell Mitchell took advantage to put on a clinic on how to run the break.
Boy, that is the perfect way to work the fast break.
First on the give and go with Tyrus Thomas for a 7-point first half lead. Then teaming up with Darnell Lazar as LSU pulled away in the second half.
That was a thing of beauty.
Davis was unstoppable again, posting another double-double. 20 points and 12 rebounds as LSU slammed Lafayette 81-62. At 6-1, LSU welcomed another hot squad to the Maravich Center, Northern Iowa. The Panthers and Tigers traded leads 12 times in 12 minutes of the first half. LSU took its biggest lead of the game 6 minutes into the second half when Darrell Mitchell turned a steal into a slam, and it was 36-33. UNI answered with a 12-2 run. The Tigers were able to get back within 2, but squandered late opportunities to tie the game and lost 54-50. The loss was the beginning of a brutal stretch for the Tigers. After rebounding to rout Arkansas Monticello, LSU lost back-to-back heartbreakers to Cincinnati, then Ohio State. Now 7-4, LSU returned home and looked to get back on track against Tulane. The Tigers took the lead early, and the game turned into the Tyrus Thomas show.
Temple with a wide-open three ball, will not go. Slam back in by Thomas. Underneath the basket, a shot blocked by Thomas. Beneath the basket, Gomez's shot that is not going to go. Rebound pulled down by Thomas. Gives it away to Tyrus Thomas. 16-foot jumper is good by Thomas. And back to Darnell. Alley-oop underneath, and a two-hand throwdown by Thomas.
The conference freshman of the week finished with 20 points, and the Tigers finished off the Green Wave 75-58. LSU was back in the win column, but it wouldn't be easy to stay there. The Tigers traveled to Connecticut looking to upset the second-ranked UConn Huskies. It was Tyrus Thomas's national coming out party. The freshman recorded his league-leading 8th double-double of the season and blocked 7 shots. When he polished off this alley-oop, the Tigers were controlling the game 33-19. UConn erased the deficit and took a 4-point lead on back-to-back hoops by Hilton Armstrong. Glenn Davis battled heavy traffic to cut the lead to 1 with just 1 minute to play. 20 seconds on the clock, and Marcus Williams beats the shot clock buzzer, and it's a 3-point game. After Mitchell hit a pair of free throws, Williams missed a pair with 7 seconds left and gave LSU one last shot.
Them both. Thomas has it. Down to Mitchell into the front court. 4 seconds. Darrell Mitchell, a long 3-ball. Get in. He missed it. Rebound on the...
Mitchell's shot was off target, and the Tigers come up a point short, 67-66. 2-4 in its last 6 games, LSU appeared to be limping into SEC conference play, and it wouldn't be easy at Arkansas. The Razorbacks lit up the scoreboard in the first half.
All the way jump shot is in and out. No good. Slam back in on a tremendous follow slam dunk by McGowan.
LSU fell behind by 12 before putting together a 15-2 run.
Good. Great shot by Temple. Rebound LSU. Darrell Mitchell into the front court. Gives to Lazar. 2-hand throwdown by Lazar on a great assist by Darrell Mitchell.
Then added a 10-0 run early in the second half.
And popped it to Glenn Davis under the basket. Here is Thomas with a 2-hand throwdown, and LSU has its biggest lead.
Arkansas cut the lead to 6, but could get no closer. Tasman Mitchell led LSU with 19 points, including a big shot in the final minute to seal an always important conference victory. John Brady would go on to say, this was the most important win of the early season. Back at the Maravich Assembly Center, LSU looked to extend its home conference win streak to 10 games when Tennessee came to Baton Rouge. The Tigers managed a 3-point lead at the break, despite 17 first-half turnovers, then turned up the heat in the second half.
Glenn Davis has got it. On the breakaway, Davis goes up and lays it in. Down the floor to Tyrus Thomas. Thomas gets the baseline and a 2-hand throwdown.
Shooting 76% from the field thanks to a few high percentage shots.
That is a great play.
And pulled away to an 88-74 win to improve to 2-0 in the conference. Back on the road, and the SEC Freshman of the Week 2 weeks running was back at it again.
Back out to Edmondson, who drives for the hole and lays it up. It's blocked by Thomas and taken by Temple. Down the floor, far side, Mitchell to Davis. Glenn underneath the basket, and the two-hand throwdown by Thomas.
Tyrus Thomas led the way as LSU opened up an 11-point halftime lead at Mississippi State. In the second half, the Tiger experience took over. Daryl Mitchell beats the defense for 2 of his 15. And Glenn Davis adds 17, and the Tigers stayed perfect in the conference, now 3-0. The Tigers were the preseason pick to finish second in the SEC's Western Division, but were trailing the preseason pick to win the division after Alabama rattled off an early 7-0 run. The Tigers rallied to tie the game and ended the half with back-to-back threes from the Mitchells, T and D. The lead was 8 in the second half after a pair of Garrett Temple dunks.
Temple down the floor, flyer, swing!
Alabama would eventually reclaim the lead before Tyrus Thomas finally came alive. LSU was now 4-0 in the conference after a 68-57 victory. On throwback night, LSU sported throwback jerseys, sold out the Maravich Center with throwback ticket prices, and then routed Georgia 81-52 after opening up a 31-point halftime lead.
Mitchell down the floor, alley-oop, slam! To Tyrus Thomas! Holy cow! Way off the mark, it comes out long to Mitchell, down to Daryl Mitchell, lays it in! And that is the end, my friend, of one of the most amazing first halves of basketball that you will ever see.
The Tigers improved to 13-5 on the season and 5-0 in the conference. The last time they were 5-0 in the SEC was the 1980-81 season. The Tigers hopped on the road and put their unbeaten conference record on the line at Ole Miss. It didn't look good early. The Rebels scorched the Nets and busted off a 15-4 run. The Tigers chipped away at the lead.
Knocked loose, and the Tigers got it and steal it down to Mitchell. Here's Daryl on the run out, and he slams it in. He was probably fouled, and he was.
And when Tasman Mitchell spinned and scored, LSU had a 4-point halftime lead. T and D Mitch came up huge in the second half. Daryl scored 10 of his game-high 28 in the final 5 minutes, and Tasman hit a late 3 and came up big defensively as the Tigers won again, 79-73.
Down low, knocked away, stolen by LSU.
4 nights later, Auburn challenged LSU, but couldn't keep pace with the high-flying Tigers, who now found themselves ranked and looking unstoppable.
With the turnover to Daryl Mitchell in the front court. Alley-oop, Thomas! Ripped again by Thomas. Down to Daryl Mitchell, and now they reached out and grabbed him.
Daryl Mitchell scored 27, and LSU shot 63% in the second half to pull away for an 84-69 win.
Run out, swish!
Now 15-5 and 7-0 in the conference, the Tigers once again squared off with the preseason pick to win the division. Only this time, they would have to face Alabama on its home floor. Both teams struggled offensively. Daryl Mitchell had averaged 26 a game in the previous 3 outings, but was held to just 14. A close game throughout, neither team held a lead of more than 5 points. In the end, it was a 5-point win for Bama, and LSU's first loss in the conference, the Tigers' first loss in nearly a month. Back home to face Arkansas, LSU still controlled its own destiny in the conference's Western Division, though a win would be important before they hit the road for a showdown with Florida. Tyrus Thomas is too tough to defend on the low post, and LSU had a 10-point first-half lead. The lead had shrunk to 4 when Glenn Davis kicked the ball out to Daryl Mitchell for one of his famous threes. It was 39-33 at halftime. Early in the second half, it looked like the Tigers might blow out Arkansas. Mitchell's 3 gave LSU a 60-46 lead with 11 minutes to play. The lead was 12 after this dunk by Tyrus Thomas with 4.5 to go.
How high did he go for that? Wow!
Then the Tigers went cold. Arkansas capitalized on 4 straight Tiger turnovers and tied the game when Ronnie Brewer stole the ball and scored. After the Razorbacks missed 2 free throws, Mitchell made them pay with time running out.
16 seconds to play in the game. Mitchell top of the key, a 3-ball. Yes! Mitchell a 3. 11 seconds to play. LSU by 1.
It wasn't easy, but LSU had the win 78-77. The Tigers barely had time to recover from the heartstopper, and they were back on the floor, this time in Gainesville, for a difficult matchup with Florida. Darrell Mitchell led the charge as the Tigers built a 5-point first-half lead.
Run out, and he lays it in. LSU by 5.
That the Gators erased by halftime.
Florida Humphrey in the near corner, and he ties it.
In the second half, again, D-Mitch led the way, holding out for a lane and hitting Darnell Lazar. Then finishing the break.
Down the floor to Darrell. He's got a run out, and he lays it up and in. And LSU has matched its biggest lead.
It was all part of a 12-0 run that gave LSU a 6-point lead. But the Gators responded with a 16-3 run and took control of the game. Then beat LSU 71-62, handing the Tigers just their second conference loss. Back home, the Tigers would rely on their senior to get back on track.
Mitchell's got it. Hits for the hole, beats it to Thomas, who throws it down. Out to Mitchell, wide open look at a 3-ball, and it's good.
Darrell Mitchell tied, then broke the school's career 3-point record as LSU recovered from a slow start and handled Mississippi State 72-59. Hoping they had regained their momentum, the Tigers hit the road for games at Auburn and Vanderbilt. Auburn's Ronnie Lamel was too much to handle in the first half, scoring 16 of his 21 points to give Auburn a lead at the break.
From the corner is a 3, bang, down and goes.
Glenn Davis scored 17 of his 24 in the second and kept LSU in the game.
Corner from the near corner, won't go. Rebound put back by Davis is good. Glenn Davis is having a monster second half.
With LSU clinging to a 2-point lead in the game's final minute, Tasman Mitchell scored his first points of the night, and the Tigers had another win, 65-61. 2 games up in the Western Division and tied with Tennessee for the overall lead in the SEC, the Tigers headed to Nashville to play an improving Vanderbilt team. The Commodores gave LSU all it could handle, but could not handle LSU's athleticism.
He's got to create something. Mitchell tries and he misses, but it's slammed back in by McNamara on the follow.
77-66. The win clinched a second straight Western Division title for LSU. There was little time for celebration as the Tigers returned home to face Kentucky, a program they hadn't beaten in 6 seasons. Glenn Davis looked to change that early.
As usual, Mitchell down the floor to Glenn Davis under the basket. He goes up with a shot and knocks it in.
Scoring 11 of the Tigers' first 12 points. Despite Davis's efforts, Kentucky enjoyed a 7-point lead at the end of the first half. After the break, Tasman Mitchell chipped in. This 3 was part of an 8-0 run that gave LSU the lead.
LSU by 5.
And Davis put the finishing touches on a 28-point night in a 71-67 win. Another big win, though the Tigers did suffer a loss. Tyrus Thomas injured an ankle. LSU would have to finish the regular season and play the conference tournament without the SEC Freshman of the Year. The final road trip of the regular season took the Tigers to South Carolina for a chance to wrap up the SEC's regular season title. The LSU defense held the Gamecocks scoreless over a 10-minute stretch to erase a 10-point lead. Then rode the back of the big guy, Glenn Davis. Davis scored 24 in his 8th straight game with a double-double and was dominant down the stretch as the Tigers improved to 21-7 and 13-2 in the conference.
It's good, and he's fouled
with 1 second on the clock.
Boy, what great power by Glenn Davis.
Steadily climbing in the polls and already owning the SEC overall and Western Division titles, LSU closed out the regular season celebrating the great career of Darrell Mitchell. D-Mitch leads the charge in an 8-0 run as LSU took a first-half lead. Both teams struggled offensively. Every basket was a battle, and the Tigers found themselves in a battle. Ole Miss hung around, and it was just a 2-point game with 16 seconds to play after Todd Abernathy scored. But the Tigers hit key free throws in the final seconds and closed out their second straight conference season unbeaten at home, and showed off their first SEC championship banner in 21 seasons. LSU ended the regular season with 6 straight wins and entered the SEC tournament as conference champs, The hottest team in the league was climbing in the polls and looking for its first conference tournament title since 1980. The quarterfinal matchup with Vanderbilt was a good start. With Daryl Mitchell ailing and the conference freshman of the year Tyrus Thomas on the bench with an ankle injury, the team turned to SEC Player of the Year Glenn Davis. Davis matched his career high with 28 points and added 13 rebounds as the Tigers looked sharp in a 92-73 win. Tasman Mitchell scored a career-best 20 points, and LSU was on to the semifinals for the 5th time in 7 years. No team in the SEC was hotter than LSU, but Florida was certainly just as hot. When the two teams met in the tournament semifinal, something had to give. With nothing to prove, Thomas rested his sprained ankle for a second straight game.